Hello and welcome to all our viewers from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC here at Gold. And I'm chatting today with Dr. Leslie Kowalski. Hi, Leslie.
Hi.
It's wonderful to have you back here at Gold.
Thank you. It's so nice to be back.
Wonderful to have you here. You are part of an add-on package this time around. And your presentation this time is titled Babies with Sucking Dysfunction, Assessment and Coordination of Care. We'll talk about that in just a little bit here. First of all, let us know, where in the world are you located?
I am in the United States. I'm in New Jersey.
Wonderful. And of course, you have a lactation professional background, but I also know that you have a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology. So going with that into the field of lactation, in the beginning, you must have been geeking out on all the components of human milk, right?
Absolutely. I know. It was fascinating.
So tell me a little bit about the transition, from that one
uh,
career into into the lactation world, and what are you working on now?
sure. Let's see, my daughters are 22 and 19. And after graduate school and finishing my PhD, I was working in a biotech company, which companies are very small and very volatile. So I had my first daughter. I was on leave and was going to go back to work at about when she was about 6 months old. And I got back to my first day of work, and our very small company had been taken over by another company. And they announced on our first day that they were closing our location, and we were all laid off. So,
Welcome back, right?
so, so I actually worked for 2 weeks. I mean, but I had gone through all of that prep, right? Like
Yeah.
I'll never forget what that felt like, learning
Yeah.
how to pump and
Oh,
stressing
yes.
over it and bottle feeding and looking for daycares and just all of the stress and worry. So even though I only used it for 2 weeks, um, that going through that process, it was life changing. And the other piece that was life changing ultimately, since I wound up not going back to direct scientific research, was the breastfeeding support that I had received through La Leche League. So I
Mm-hmm.
had, when my older was first born, I joined La Leche League, and I had all the difficulties that I help people with now, and
Mm-hmm.
I received so much help. And so I, joined my local chapter. Actually, I went to as many chapters as I could get my hands on. So I just kept traveling around to go to meetings, and then decided to become a leader because I really wanted to help others the way I had been helped. And
Mm-hmm.
then putting that together with my scientific background is what led me to becoming an IBCLC.
Wonderful. So
Yeah.
you took what life handed you there and changed it and turned it into something beautiful, helping others,
Yes.
with that experience. Because what you mentioned there, going back to work is daunting for many new parents, as
Yes.
on an emotional level.
Mhm.
Not talk about that, but also, of course, on the pumping, how that works. And so, in your practice, you're also preparing parents for that as well, right?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love to do return to work sessions and, helping people prepare for that. If I can take a little bit of stress away from them, it makes me very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Before we sat down here, we had a little side chat, and you talked about a project that you are considering now, and that when you mentioned that, I got very excited about that as well. So let's talk about that for a little bit
Okay.
before we jump into the presentation.
So one of the things I often think about is that, I love these conferences, and I get so much information from them.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about how in hospitals, physicians will do something, grand rounds, where they will discuss cases and,
Hmm.
kind of pick them apart and even defend their choices. I mean, I don't think I'd want it to be combative, but,
No.
but another lactation consultant and I in New Jersey are talking about starting a lactation grand rounds, where we can have people present case studies
Mhm.
and discuss them. And maybe we would also have other topics that we might discuss each time. And we haven't really formalized the details, but we're hoping that it's going to be a fundraiser for a really amazing group here in New Jersey as well.
Oh, wonderful. That
Yeah.
sounds fantastic. And what a great learning opportunity too, right? And from learning from different cases from each other for, especially for lactation professionals, I can imagine that sometimes the work can be very isolating too. You're seeing clients and you're seeing families and providing wonderful services for the families. But at the end of the day, unless you work in a clinic or part of a big group, it's all on you, right?
Yes.
And it's hard to have nobody there to debrief or go over things or learn from experiences, because we all have cases now and then where we go like looking back at them, oh, I wish I had known, or I wish I've done this a little bit different, or this or that, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it feels like the feedback is missing when you're in private practice all alone. Maybe you
Yes.
have another, lactation friend, or like who works in the field, or but still having like a platform where this is like a safe space where you can exchange cases and talk about it and learn from it, and also have that kind of community from other provide, to feel like, yeah, I'm understood. I think that is also part of it, right?
Yes. And I think especially coming out of, well, hopefully coming out of the pandemic, and we're hoping
Yeah.
that it's also going to be a new social opportunity for all of us to get to know each other. There's a lot of new
Mhm.
IBCLCs,
Yes. Yeah.
and now that because of Zoom
Yeah.
becoming so popular, we can now open this up to people all over the world as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and that's what I love here at Gold too, that we can be from meeting with people from all around the world, because we're all passionate about the same thing. We're all passionate about helping the families, making sure the breast chest feeding is going well, and they're having the success and the bonding and everything they're hoping for their family and their baby, right? So having that community is so very important. And you're right, something you mentioned really is true. We have many new IBCLCs that maybe they came in during the pandemic and maybe have not had much opportunity to work in person, right? We had
Hmm.
they started off with Zoom because that was all that was available, which is great that we have that platform, but they might not have that much experience in person, which might be very different. So a group like that could also be helpful for them, although the group is on Zoom, but maybe discussing things that are different in person, face to face via versus on Zoom or on the phone, correct?
Yes,
Hmm.
definitely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, let's talk also about the topic here. This is very exciting, and I got a little sneak peek earlier on, and I'm super excited about this. I can't wait for everyone to see this presentation, which is Babies with Sucking Dysfunction and Assessment Coordination of Care, which is part of the Clinical Support of Infant Sucking Skills lecture pack here at Gold that will be released on April 4th. So tell us a little bit about this presentation. First of all, how did it come to that to fruition that you wanted to present on this particular topic? That
Well, actually, I think you guys asked me to.
we did, because we knew
Yeah.
you were the right person for the job.
So I had spoken at the Tangtai Symposium, and then I was really honored to be asked again. And it was really a nice experience for me to put together this talk. I mean, they're all I talk about how, as an IBCLC, I can look at a baby that isn't using their oral function properly.
Mhm.
And while I am not a physical therapist or a tie release provider or an SLP, I can still help this family and help this baby.
Mhm.
And I'm one of the things I said in the talk is I think of IBCLCs as like the general contractors that
I like that.
that we work from the family, from beginning to end. And then we're calling in, referrals to
Mhm.
help with more specific and uh, nuanced needs. But that there are many tricks and techniques that I have used, and learned from many workshops that I have gone to, that the more I've used with these babies, the more I learn, in a way,
Mhm.
I'm almost self-interning. And so in the presentation, I talk about, how can we help babies, not only at the breast and at the bottle, but how can we help them with oral exercises, with body exercises, utilizing, our fingers for oral suckling, but also some toys and pacifiers and different gadgets that can help us show the families how to help their babies.
Great. Yeah. And you have lots of beautiful videos there on, showing babies and the exercises that either the parent or the provider or you are doing with them. And also you showing them on, you have your little tools there as well. So you're giving actual tour, information on how to use it and what to do. So really good tools there to use in the practice as well. That's wonderful. Before I let you go, what little nugget of wisdom or advice with regards to this topic would you leave our viewers here today with?
Oh boy. I think mostly to take it, when you're working with families, to try to take it one step at a time, I think.
Hmm.
And even for ourselves, when I
Yeah.
first went to, one of the first conferences that really opened my eyes to all of this was the oral habilitation of the breastfeeding dyad. And I came home just brimming with ideas. And I suspect the first few families I worked with were probably like completely overwhelmed by me. And because I was probably throwing everything at them. And I've, over time, the more I use them and the more that I learn, okay, well, this works with this kind of baby and works with that kind of, or just to take it slow and to
Hmm.
try to, incorporate. I'm giving a lot of information at once, but also
Hmm.
really reassuring the family it's
Yeah.
okay if you don't use all of this. I think of
Yeah.
the information as I'm giving to them as a library.
Right.
I say the
Mhm.
same thing about my website. I have a ton of information on my website. I think of it as a library, and
Okay.
that I want uh, the families that I'm working with and myself to try to just do little bits at a time and say, okay, what's our highest priority? What are we going to work with? And how are we going to move from there?
Absolutely. That sounds
Yeah.
great. And you mentioned your website. What is your website so our viewers can find you there as
Oh,
well?
it's lactation solutions of Princeton.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Well, thank you so much, Leslie. It's been such a pleasure sitting
Thank
down here
you.
and chatting and having you back here at Gold. So happy about this.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
And for our viewers now, if you would like to find out more about this presentation that we have part of this lecture pack and the other presentations in this lecture pack, I invite you to visit goldlactation.com and also goldlearning.com. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye-bye.